Alright, today I'm going to be showing you what it took to restore this 50-year-old 1974 Saab Sonnet. Alright, starting off, it kind of seems obvious, but little things, there's always like headlights and just, some safety things like that. And then like filters and obviously the oil and coolant, and then there's little things like the wiper motor and pump and stuff to get that working. And then originally we did replace the fuel pump down there, but we just went back to the one that was on the car when we restored it because the other two went out and that one was apparently still good. And we actually thought that one was bad because the gas tank was full of old ethanol, like just dried up ethanol. And so it wasn't strong enough to pump enough fuel until we figured out that issue. I'll put up some pictures of what the tank looked like when we first started to clean it out and like what came out of the tank. It was disgusting. So this is what came out of the tank, and that's what the ethanol inside the tank looked like. And you might think that's rust, but that's ethanol that's caked up on the side of the gas tank. And then there's some things like we rebuilt this carb. We just kept the original 1 barrel. There's some upgraded ones like Weber 2 barrels. That takes some modification, whatever, so we didn't want to put in the effort to upgrade to a 2 barrel. We might eventually, but this 1 barrel is working just fine, so we're going to keep it for now. And also, we did have to eventually rebuild this decel valve. We didn't for the first 2 months we drove it, but we started driving it in about April of last year, and in June of last year we had to rebuild that because I was leaking pretty bad. Alright, and then I redid the seats as well. I just went to Joann's and got this, it's like $50 of leather. And I didn't even watch any videos or whatever, I don't even know, just did it. And then there's also some little things that, since this is 114,000 miles, just some little things like that you can fix, but it's not really worth it because carpet for this is like $700 for like one little panel. So we're just going to leave it. It's not really worth fixing, at least to us. Then we got lucky. The only thing we really had to replace on these door cards were these little like trim pieces on both sides. They were kind of cracked. So that was like $100 for both of them, but it really cleans up the look. But like on our 1950 Plymouth, there were some big tears on this part, so I had to replace that. But that even wasn't that hard. But on this, it would have been a lot harder because of the two fabrics. And then also just little things like these spark plugs down here. We didn't have to replace the spark plug wires. I mean, it might have been a good idea, but it's been running fine for the last, a couple hundred miles we've been driving it since we restored it, so it's not really a big deal. And then we also upgraded it to an electric fan, because these engines will get hot, especially the older ones. We probably didn't need to, but it was a little 4-blade, and the one we had in there was all broken, and it wasn't doing much cooling, so it was just easier to get like a $50 electric fan, and then just be done with it. And little things like you'd think we would have had to do the brakes or clutch or whatever. The only thing we had to do to the clutch here recently is we had to get a new gasket for it, and to get to it, it was kind of a pain because there's that little hole back there, and that's the master cylinder we had to get to. And then brakes, we didn't even bleed them. We just kind of drove it, and it worked itself out. And also we replaced the wiper blades. That's more just a safety thing for our convenience. And then I painted these mirrors just to look better, but we need to fix them if anyone has an idea, because they're like really loose. I don't know. And you drive and they like flop that way. I don't know. So that's kind of annoying, but they look good at least. I did a video on it. I should put it up in this corner, I think it'll be. But I did paint. It's a $400 tractor paint job, so if you want to watch that, it'll be linked in the description and up in the corner. But, for $400, it looks pretty nice. It polished out pretty good, but you can see some orange peel there. But again, from a couple feet away, it's like you can't even tell. And there you can see some rust repair. I'll put a picture of what it looked like before. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was all the way down the whole rocker. We got that repaired. And then also like these rear hatch shocks. These were completely shot, so we replaced those. Those were like 15 bucks each, not even. But it's just for convenience, so this actually stays up. Then we got this new antenna, just if we wanted to use the radio. Not like we really use the radio, because you can't hear it over the glass packs, so, But again, just if we wanted to. Alright, and then just to be safe than sorry, we have some different things like this 2-cycle oil, fuel stuff. But like this helped, like when we were stuck in O'Reilly's parking lot, broken down when we were having a fuel issue. We would pour that in the bowl of the carburetor, and it was able to get enough fuel up to the carburetor from the tank, so we were able to get home. And then just some things like starter fluid and just towels for convenience. And then fuel additive, so when we fill up, you know, we can have that to add octane to the gas. And then just a little thing of brake fluid. So, you know, clutch and brake fluid, just because if it leaks any out, we can always add more. Then, you know, sunscreen for car shows. That's always good to have. And then carb cleaner, because if the carb gets gummed up or whatever for some reason, it'll clean it out enough probably to get home. And then we just keep a 1-gallon fuel jug in the car just to have some gas with us. Then 2 fire extinguishers, just because. Better be safe than sorry. Then some waters, just to have. And this is also a good thing to have, a little jumper box. So, you know, you can jump your car, you know, if the battery dies. And then you can also charge your phones and plug a cooler or something in. And our parking brake doesn't work, so just to have one, you know, a wheel block thing to hold the car in place if your parking brake doesn't work. You can also leave it in gear. It's up to you. Or you could just fix the parking brake, but, you know, when you can leave it in gear, it's just fine. And if you keep the service manual, like with the car, if you're having an issue on the side of the road and you have all the stuff to fix it, then, you know, you can just look in the manual and see what you need to do, because some things are pretty self-explanatory, but on these cars, a lot of things aren't. So it's just good to keep, you know, the owner's manual in the car or with the car. And then also, we don't have this right now, but I'd like to get spare tires for all of our cars, because we have all spare wheels, but we just don't have spare tires, so I'd like to get that just as an extra safety measure. And then I think the cost was around $1,000 to $2,000, maybe up to $3,000 with the little projects we've done here and there. But when I started this car, I was 12 or 13, and I was just doing, you know, random jobs, saving up for money, and, you know, I was able to restore a car. So if you really want to do something, just put a little away every month, or, you know, just do random, you know, mowing the lawns or something like that, and you'll eventually get enough money like I did. And then there's also just little things you're always going to have to do on every old car. You know, fuel filters, we just changed that out the other day. And then again, like our car, this one likes to leak oil out of the drain plug because we don't have, I don't know, we need to change the oil anyway. But just regularly checking the oil, like, I think we should probably add some here. Yeah, I should probably go add some. But just, again, like, you know, regularly checking the oil, that's exactly why you do it. And then again, little things to know on these old cars. They say, like in the manual, if they say 2,000 to 3,000 miles, it's more every like 1,000 to 1,500 miles you should change the oil. That's what we've, you know, had to do on these. Like, we've already had to change the oil twice on both of our cars. We've driven them 1,500 miles. So it's just, when you're first getting them running, especially, like, we got like 200 miles out of the first oil change on this. So just when you're first getting it going, it just takes, you know, a couple more oil changes, and then after that, it's just always more than the manual says because it's an old car. And if you're wondering why I'm restoring these cars, it's because I'm going to be daily driving this. It's like, and people say, oh, well, they don't get good gas mileage or whatever. On highway, this thing's supposed to get 40 miles a gallon. So that's better than a lot of hybrids. And like I was saying, we've driven 110 miles on this tank. And this says half a tank, but this is when we filled up, that's where it was. So it's in between 3/4 of a tank and full. So we've only used maybe 3 gallons in 110 miles. And they also take a lot more maintenance, but it's like, it's totally worth it. I mean, just look at the car. As opposed to driving something boring and new that they all look the same, they're all gray and black. You know, this is a bright orange. That's a, you know, burgundy red. They're just so much more unique. Like our Plymouth is a, you know, Salvadorian blue. You know, that we don't have an old boring color on these classic cars, so it's completely worth the extra little maintenance you have to do. Then there's always little things you have to do to complete the look. And like the front emblem was broken, so I just 3D printed one and colored the Saab and Sharpie, and then, you know, clear coated it. But it's not perfect. But again, from a couple feet away, can't tell. Or you just keep that on there always. That looks good too. And then little things that would be nice to complete the look, like there's supposed to be wheel center cap things, but they're like, I think they're like 20 bucks a piece, and there's a lot of the times if you hit a curb wrong, or like if you undo the, wheel or whatever, and it comes down and lands face first, it'll actually break these, and that's why they're so expensive. So I don't know if I'm gonna get those or just 3D print them. And then another tip, if you have a little extra money after done restoring, like I just said with those emblems or whatever, I'm just gonna probably 3D print them. I just have an Ender 3. It's like $150, $200, and then probably about $250 to $300 after some maintenance and filament and just some stuff you want. But it's like a lot of things, it's come in handy. Like here, I need to 3D print something for this, but there's a cover that I can 3D print for this, and it takes maybe an hour to print. But otherwise, it'd be like $50 to buy a new cover. And that's if you could even find a new cover. So sometimes 3D printing is just more convenient. And then also on this car, I 3D printed this little panel. So one of these is for the electric fan, and one of them is for the fuel pump. So that's also just a little convenient thing, so we didn't have to buy something. All right, that's all I have for this video. I just wanted to do a little quick, video of what it takes to restore a car, just the basics. But like I said, they have better looks than modern cars. They get just as good as, fuel economy until you get into the 60s, with the big V8s. But other than that, a lot of them have better fuel economy. They're just way more fun to drive. They take a little more effort to maintain and a little more effort to drive, but that's the fun of it. You get to learn a lot. Like, I've learned so much just restoring this car. All right, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. And yeah, I'll see you next time.